happen often, or like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to our new segment here at Jag Studios, Cultivating Culture, where we're going to discuss what it takes to build a thriving culture at a company, whether it's a new company, an older company, whether you're a startup or you're an established name. And today we have our HR Director, Yanin Hernandez.
Hi.
You've come in and graced us with your presence, and we know you're very busy.
Yes.
You have a lot to do these days.
Yep.
So we appreciate you coming in and talking to us about building a culture. And today, for this first episode, it's really about intentionality, and it's about being clear with meaning and purpose. So just tell me a little bit about what those words mean to you as an HR director.
I think when leaders don't communicate with their staff, staff begin to become disengaged. They stop trusting the organization, the leaders, their managers. So I think communication is key for employees to feel like they're part of the organization. I think that when people start talking, but managers are not talking to their employees, is when employees feel like they're not part of the organization.
Right. So it's just having that kind of open communication and saying, this is where we are and this is where we're headed and this is your part in doing that.
Yeah.
Correct? Like just making sure that everyone understands that they are integral in their own way to the success of the company.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think employees want to feel like part of the success of the organization.
Yeah. And they also want to, and we've seen this now with the Great Resignation, they want to be part of an organization that in some way embodies their values, correct?
Yes. So you'll see a lot of people now, the reason why it's called the Great Resignation is like people are resigning from organizations and are not even thinking so much about salary. They're thinking more about what am I doing? How is this rewarding to me? How is it rewarding to my community? And so you'll see a lot of people who are going to they're even changing their whole career and industry because of this.
Yeah. And I think it's important also is just that just because you aren't a fit for culture or someone isn't a fit for an organization's culture, you as a leader, does not mean that they're bad per se. It's just that there's not that alignment. And I think that what we're discussing right now is that people are looking for that alignment. They're looking for that alignment of goals. They're looking for that alignment of values and purpose. And that's something now that recruiters have to think about a lot too, right? Like you have to think about, is this person a good fit? Not for the position, but for the culture. Like how often in recruiting do you think about that? All the time, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We think like, will this person be a good fit for any organization? Every organization has their own values. So that is important because if somebody doesn't feel part of the culture, that's when they leave.
Yeah. And it's also important for leaders to embody the culture and embody that meaning and purpose that they're trying to instill in their staff, because it's really lead by example, right?
Yeah.
How is it that you make sure that as a leader, what you're saying doesn't come off as lip service or just rings false?
I think practicing it. So, at JAG, our values include empathy, transparency, and me in particular, I've always tried to be very empathetic with employees. People have their own personal lives, and when they're going through something, when a leader's empathetic to what they're going through and not just thinking like, oh, but you gotta get your work done, and not thinking about everything else in their life, that's another way an employee gets disengaged.
Yeah.
So I think practicing it, not just putting it on the website, but practicing it as leaders is important.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because, we've all been there. You don't want to feel like you're just like an employee number on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet,
Right.
which happens very often. A lot of times I think it's a generational shift, especially with Generation Z. I think boomers really were like, it's just a job, right? And they went and they did their job, and maybe the culture wasn't as important to them as providing for their family. And now with millennials and then switching from millennials, especially to Generation Z, they really do want to feel like they're doing something meaningful.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be meaningful like they're saving the world or anything that scale, right? But meaningful to them personally. They're taking their careers a lot more personally. Can you speak to that a little bit as to how that shift might affect HR and recruiting and building a culture?
I think trying to understand what the candidate wants out of the job. Where do they see themselves in 5 years? Is it a good fit for them? Can they attain those goals within the organization? I think that's important. It's not just knowing like, do you have the experience? What's your education? Have you ever done this? Do you know this program? Those are basic questions, but kind of knowing what the candidate wants to get from the position, from the job, from the organization is really important, because that way as an interviewer, okay, this person, they can attain those goals here, and maybe they will be a good fit.
Yeah. So I think that kind of what we're getting at is that it has to be not so much a collective, but it's a culture of individuals, and every individual brings something different to the table, and something unique. And like, don't strip people of that uniqueness.
Right. Everybody, like you're creative with your writing. Johnny's great at editing. Everybody has so many strengths, and like using it collaboratively can really work well for your organization. I mean, what you guys have done with the social media here, Jack, it shows that.
Thank you. And we're all about highlighting the culture and highlighting people like you, Yanin. And I just want to thank you so much for coming in, kicking off this Cultivating the Culture segment, which we're going to be doing a lot more of with different people in the office. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.